Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 7:25 a.m., Sunday, July 16th, 2023. I am the Wolfman. This is the Wolfman method. Today's lesson is going to be allowing channeled speech. And so, in the spirit of that, I am attempting to allow this lesson to come through me rather than from me. If you have not taken the class on just sitting, then you have not done the prerequisites for this class. So there are 2 videos in this series already. There is the introduction video to the Wolfman method, and there is the just sitting video. So you need to do just sitting before you do allowing channeled speech if you're going according to the Wolfman method. But of course, we don't tell people what they have to do here. So, the point of the Wolfman method is to create the illusion of enlightenment, which is no less important for being an illusion. It's just that enlightenment in a lifetime is an illusion because a length of time is an illusion. It is true that there will be a future in some sense, but it is also true that the present is the only thing that exists. So, if you look at what really is, it's not enlightenment over a lifetime. It's alignment in a moment, but the moment lasts forever. Have you ever experienced the end of a moment? Or a space between moments? I haven't. I don't conceptualize it that way. You always kind of feel like, if anything, if you were to try to separate the moments, it would be like, this moment began a while ago, which was the middle of a different moment, and it will end in a little while, which will be the middle of another moment. So it's almost like the moments are overlapped, or there's just one moment and it started so far ago that I wasn't born yet, and it will end sometime after my physical death. And so, one thing that you should know about the Wolfman method is that if you're practicing it properly, yes, I can say that, if you're practicing it properly, because I'm the only one who's required to practice it properly. That's why it's the Wolfman method. But there are, there is a portion of the population, probably about 1/12 of people, that are similar enough to me that the Wolfman method will be of some use to those people. And so if you're one of those people who gets some value out of this, develop your own method by all means, but you're not a developer of methods. That's not, your true will is not to go around developing methods. So, I've developed this method, and it's free for anybody that wants to use it. That having been said, to practice the Wolfman method properly, which is not required for anybody that isn't the Wolfman, or a Wolfman, you have to become comfortable with long periods of silence and darkness and stillness. And when I say darkness, I mean allowing your mind to go dark, allowing the lights to wink out in your imagination, trusting that the fairies will light them up again. And out of the silence and darkness, the dance will begin again. It always does. Seltzer water. I haven't been drinking booze and I haven't been drinking caffeine, so I've developed a taste for seltzer water because it seems I don't really like sugary beverages. It doesn't feel good to put that much sugar in my body. not drinking caffeine, and you're not drinking booze, start to explore other options, such as seltzer water. But that's neither here nor there. I still am the Wolfman, and my channel is still called Rabbit Trails, and that's why. So, long periods of silence and darkness, you have to be okay with them. It's not necessary that the periods will be long, but it is true that you need to be okay with them being long, because any flavor of feeling like, when is this long period of silence and stillness going to end, and this channeling going to begin? Well, that's resistance, and resistance is exactly the thing that slows down the channeling. So if you want, it's a bit of a paradox, but I think it sounds wrong when you say it, but you know that it's true when you understand it, which is that if you want it to go faster, you have to be okay with it not going faster. That's the only way to make it go faster. And so it's only words that make this confusing. The meaning, if you get the meaning of these words, it makes perfect sense, but the words aren't perfect. And that's fine. Long periods of silence and darkness. So as I am attempting to bring this through rather than produce it, there may be some periods of silence in this video. So prepare yourself for that, or don't watch. Allowing channeled speech. So there's a reason that I've set the class up. Well, the real reason that I've set the class up the way that I have is because it's not me setting it up. It's me setting it up. There's a reason that it has come through in this form. And that is so there's a reason that just sitting comes before channeled speech. And that is because we go through life without a practice, and we bump into people whose minds are unclear, and we bump into situations, and all of these things fill us with reactions and noise and questions and desires. And so the questions and desires are actually quite useful, but there's all kinds of noise. And so the most useful thing is to have one very clear question or desire. You may have heard this before from other people. The Wolfman method is not completely unique by any stretch of the imagination. I have listened to many teachers over the course of my life, and they have had huge influences on me. And so it's not like I've come up, even though I do feel like, it came in a channeling session, it's not like it's surprising, the things that came through. A lot of them are in 99% alignment with other teachings. But this is just the version that came through for me. And so it's almost exactly like a lot of other things, but it's just a little different. Because I'm only a little bit different from other humans. I'm not that different. Human is human, man. And we've got a lot more in common than we have different. Anyway, the reason that you do just sitting before you do just channeling speech is because you need to learn to get quiet. It's the reason that just sitting comes before channeling is because just sitting comes before channeling. You can just sit. You can just sit intentionally. You can go, okay, I'm just going to sit. And you can do that with your small self. You don't need to be in alignment to just sit. You need to be in alignment to channel. So, you just sit and you allow the noise and confusion that you've picked up going through life to fade away, to fall away, to melt, to be transmuted by the meditation of just sitting. And when this happens, you will find yourself in a clear, quiet, receptive space sometimes. And spontaneously, a question will arise. I feel like it bubbles up as if somehow it was trapped underneath of hard earth. Like a gas bubble trapped underneath of hard earth, and then in the meditation, a rain of some kind came and loosened the earth and, turned it from dirt into mud, and the bubble is able to rise through the mud and bubble up. And so, as we practice and the confusion goes away, the question becomes clear. And then all of a sudden, you have a clear question. And if you are in the practice of just sitting, you sit and you allow movement, right? You don't move, but you don't resist movement. That is just sitting. And you don't speak, but you don't resist speech. So you're in such a gentle place that a breeze can blow you over. And so a lot of times you'll be just sitting and you'll be getting quiet, and all of a sudden you'll be like, in my case, why am I so tired? And the question doesn't make any sense because I didn't think I was tired. But the answer is that I've got all kinds of resistance, and that came to me in the form of a vision of my energy body being filled with this syrupy energy, which is better than tar, right? But and this is just an example of how it works sometimes, but it's not important. But like, my energy wasn't tar, but it was syrup, and it could be liquid. It could be like water thin fuel, and the fuel that I run on is not water thin, it's syrupy. And so since then I've been unlocking the resistance bit by bit, and I've been transforming the syrupy energy, which is just a way of looking at it. It's a visual metaphor. The syrupy energy, I've been turning it into liquid energy. What happens on other planes, I don't know, but this is the metaphor I've been given, and it seems to work. All that to say, you get clear and a question comes out. And because you're in such an allowing space, the question comes out without you even intending to ask the question. And the longer you do this, the more that you'll be able to drop right into the space and ask the question and have the answer just flow without breaks and without pauses and all of that. But in the beginning especially, you have to be willing to allow long periods of silence and stillness. And part of the reason for that is because you're not quiet enough for the channeling to come through. But eventually, you are quiet enough for the channeling to come through. And in my case, sometimes what will come through is going to be silence. It's going to be formless energy. And that's incredibly healing, and it's very good. And it's recharging and rejuvenating. But it's just silent, formless energy. And there won't be any words. And so there needs to be a question to trigger the formation of words a lot of times. And so just sitting is what you do, and then the channeling kind of happens to you, which is why I've said before, and I will say again, that in a certain sense, if a spiritual teacher says to you anything other than meditate, and then let the meditation teach you the rest, in a certain sense, they're saying too much. And yet here I am saying it. So allowing channeled speech. Don't force it. Don't fight it. This is the main tenet of the Wolfman method, because what we're aiming for in the Wolfman method is to allow the spirit, the gentle pressure that comes through, that sometimes turns into channeled speech, to allow that to be the thing that is moving me through my life, the thing that is actually taking all the actions, to take my hands completely off the wheel, metaphorically, to take my feet completely off the pedals, and to allow the gentle pressure of spirit to guide my body and my actions and my words throughout life. And so there's the formal practice, which starts as just sitting and evolves into allowing channeled speech. And then there's the non-formal practice, because you can't be doing formal practice 24/7 unless you have some kind of a strange situation. In my situation, I can't afford to do formal practice 24/7. I have other things that I have to do in my life. And so when you exit the formal practice and you enter the rest of your life, then you do what's called just existing to the best of your ability to release resistance. And you release as much of the resistance, and you allow spirit to guide you to, they're constantly putting a gentle hand on you and pushing just gently, but not hard. And if you push against it, you will go the other direction. They're not pushing hard enough to make you do anything. They've told me time and time again, we will never possess you in the style of a Hollywood demon. We're just going to constantly give you this gentle push in the right direction. And so the goal of the whole system is to allow that gentle push all of the time. And so you do your formal practice, which starts as just sitting and becomes allowing channeled speech. But you're never going to force the channeled speech. You're never going to force it, and if you fight it, it won't come. So this is the main tenet. There are two main tenets. One is be comfortable with long periods of silence and stillness and darkness. And out of the silence and darkness, the dance will begin. And number two, don't force it, don't fight it. I use that as a mantra a lot of times. Don't force it, don't fight it. Or it can be sung. Hey, don't force it, don't fight it, just feel it, just ride it. Don't force it, don't fight it, just feel it, just ride it. Hey, don't force it, hey, don't fight it, just feel it, just ride it. Don't force it, don't fight it, just feel it, just ride it. And that is the Wolfman method. Don't force it, don't fight it, just feel it, just ride it. And so we come to the end of our video. You need to just sit. You need to become very practiced at just sitting. Maybe you're a quicker learner than I am, and maybe you will start channeling faster. You've certainly got one advantage in that I've explained how this is going to go. Actually, you know what? I'm 15 minutes early, and I don't want to do that to the person that I'm meeting. So I'm gonna drive around a little bit more and continue this video. We're basically down to the admin notes. So, as my understanding of this system, I want you to know that I am a student of this system. I am not a master of this system. I would be willing to claim mastery of just sitting. I can just sit. I have that skill. I've mastered sitting. I will give you that. Channeling is very new. As things often come, it came to me a while back, just like a little bit. I would get in, if I got very serious, I could get down and I would write down questions, and I would focus on these questions in a meditative state, and the answers would come through. I called it knowing at that point. The experience where the Wolfman method came through as channeling, that was very recent, and so it was like, okay, here you are. Step one, you've been doing. That's meditating, that's just sitting. Step two, allow channel motion, and then try some standing meditation, and then or step 2, allow channeled speech, and then try some standing meditation and allow channeled motion, and then blend the channeled motion and the channeled speech. And oh, by the way, do a meditation before you go to sleep so that you can have the intention of bringing through, bringing through that formless energy while you're sleeping, and have your have yourself completely disengaged from your personality and from your life before you go to sleep, so that you can be pure being and recharge completely while you sleep. And then with all of this as formal practice, go ahead and do an informal practice of just existing and attempting to allow spirit to make the moves for you, which isn't somebody else, by the way. Like, I am the universe. I am my higher self. I am spirit. That is me. And if I ever thought that I was anything less than that, well, that's part of the illusion. I was just in a small part of myself, a small feature of myself, if you will. So, it's okay if you haven't mastered sitting yet and you're in this video, listening to this video. Consider it like a seed being planted. But don't expect to be channeling yet if you haven't mastered sitting. I don't know how long it will take. I think a good expectation would be at least 3 months of an hour a day. Now, if you do more than that, or if you've done other practices and you're more ready, or there are many reasons why I can't tell you how long it's going to take just sitting before the channeling starts coming through. Maybe you don't have as many problems. Maybe your mission in life doesn't require channeling in the same way as mine does. So on and so forth. They're like, you're an individual and I'm an individual, and while the method may work for both of us, it's not going to work in the same way. What I can tell you is that you have to sit until the channeling comes. You cannot force the channeling. Don't force it. Don't fight it when it comes. And so, if you've watched this video and you felt like, channeling, what? Then maybe go back to the just sitting video and rewatch that and just sit for another week, and then rewatch. If you want to watch the video again, you can watch the just sitting video as many times as you want. You don't have to follow these as they come out. But if you don't feel ready to channel, or if there's any frustration that the channeling's not coming through, go back and go back to just sitting. It's okay. Like, most people sit for years and channeling doesn't even ever happen for a lot of them. But if you know that it's possible, and you know that it's the next step, and you are one of those people who is the small portion of people that are similar enough to me that they can get some use out of this method, then go back to the meditation and wait, and the channeling will come. I think that's about all I have to say. So, oh, okay, I have one thing to say about the nature of a good question, which is that in the beginning, it may be difficult to get a clear answer. You may start channeling and you will probably start channeling, and then your skill at channeling will increase. And it may be that the best way for you to get the answers is to write them down or to record them on a voice recorder, which, pro tip, the silence skipping recorder on the Google Play Store, or the Android Play Store, is very good. It's the Google Play Store. It's the Google Play Store. The Google Play Store silence skipping recorder, very good. Better than the voice activated recorder app. I tried the voice activated recorder and it cut off a lot of what was being said. The silent skipping one seemed to work for me. So if you want to sit for an hour and you think that channeling might happen, get you a silence skipping recorder. You start the recording. I like to say what time and what date it is. Obviously, I love to timestamp everything if you've watched any of my videos. And so I put a verbal timestamp at the beginning of it, and then I just sit, and it gets silent, and it skips the silences. So if you want to keep your channeled sessions as an audio recording without these long periods of silence that you have to fast forward through the silence to get to the good parts, like, you don't have to endure the silence twice. You can endure it in the session and then have the audio of the actual channeling. So yes, so you can't force it, you can't fight it. You want to get this audio recorder, go back to just sitting if you're not ready for channeling, and the next video is going to be about standing meditation. Oh, right, back to a good question. So in the beginning, when you're just starting to channel, yes or no questions. Yes or no questions. Once you start getting more than because the resistance will stop the detail from coming through. But like the most simple question and the most simple answer that can be given in the face of a lot of resistance, which is relatively what you will have at the beginning, because the practice is releasing resistance. And so you'll have less resistance as you go on, but at the beginning you'll have the most resistance that you'll ever have. And so a yes or no question, you'll be able to feel the push as a yes or a no in the beginning. Eventually you'll ask a yes or no question and you will get a paragraph or a sentence of answer rather than just a yes or no. And at this point you can ask a question that's not necessarily a yes or no answer and get some results. And then what I've been told about what the formula for the question is listen, your higher self is pointless. It's incredibly powerful, but it doesn't have a purpose other than supporting you. That's its purpose. Its purpose is to support you. That's a better way to say it. You have goals and desires and a mission here on earth. So what question do you ask? You ask, what do I need to do now in relationship to this goal? How do I get ham on the table? Where do I find a fork? You ask stuff about your human life. Ask stuff that is very specific to what you are going through currently, because even if you're confused and you don't know big picture what you're doing here on earth, trust me, you're doing it. You're doing your mission. And so the question is, what is the thing that I need to do right now in service to whatever mission it is that you're on? So the clearer of a mission that you have, you know, and certainly you can ask other things. You can ask about big picture stuff. You can ask about the universe. But in the early stages, figure out what your mission is and first ask yes or no questions, then ask questions that are specific to your human life. Also, I want you to know that as my understanding, because I am a beginner and a student on this path, as my understanding increases and as my recording capabilities increase, I do plan to redo these videos periodically over the course of my life. So who knows how long it will take, but I'm recording them for the first time. This is my first set through. I will redo the course as my understanding of the material gets better, and I will redo the course as my recording capabilities get better. So that having been said, may you be happy, may you be clear, may you find satisfaction in all your endeavors, and may you find ultimate satisfaction. Kono omne, kono yoko.